uncertain times. Tips by Southeast Asia's top marketeers, not just Malaysia. Okay, they're really good at what they do. And today we have two guests. The first one is Sheldon Ong, co-founder and digital marketing strategist for Platinum Code. Now, this guy is actually an ex-lawyer, but with a passion for digital marketing and software development. And one of his best results, I would say right now, is during this crisis, he actually grew his client's beverage business from an average of 4 drinks per day to 50 drinks per day, which is a whopping 1,200 increase, and all during the movement constraint order, which is pretty amazing, right? Next, we have Dr. AJ Minai, who is, okay, I'm going to have to read my script for this because, you know, there's just too many awards, just our overachiever speaker. So he's 2 times TEDx speaker, spoken at about 200 events globally, awarded Best LinkedIn Influencer by Malaysia Social Media Week MSMW 2019, brand storyteller, chief marketing officer, and 100 most influential, inspirational LinkedIn icons in Malaysia. And he was also invited to speak at the Forbes Communications Council as a global expert panel for branding and marketing communication. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome both our speakers.
Hey. Hi.
All right.
Hi,
you
guys.
guys
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, just a reminder to the audience tuning in, wherever you guys are, if you guys have any questions, if you guys have anything that you want to know, just simply type your questions away in the comments and we'll get our 2 experts to answer you guys. Okay, sounds good?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, okay, first things first, Sheldon and AJ. So COVID-19 and the movement constraint order has happened. What is actually happening right now in the market with respect to consumers, with respect to the clientele? Are people afraid? Are they stressed out? What's going on?
Okay, Sheldon, what would you like?
Okay. I'll go first. I definitely feel that businesses are more concerned now about losing their physical sales, you know, especially when they have current liabilities to pay out and they don't have a platform to generate sales online yet. My clients are currently adjusting to the MCO by increasing their marketing budgets on the basis that people are spending more time online on their devices at home.
Wow, okay. But what about in terms of consumers? Are they feeling that they're scared, or what's actually going on? Would you happen to know?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think if I had to guess, I think everyone's bored, stiff, out of shape.
Okay, so they definitely want to see adverts, right?
Well, yeah, if it delivers value to them, I don't see why not.
Okay. Do you have anything to add on this, AJ?
I do. I mean, I see where Sheldon is coming from, and I have a slightly different point of view in terms of how people feel. Yes, I think people do feel a little bit apprehensive because of the uncertainty. And I think that has a lot to do with not just businesses, but I think life right now. I think people are generally just seeing a huge gap of uncertainty within their own lives, whether it's their own jobs, whether it's their own salaries, whether you know, they're going to get to be able to see their parents soon if they're in different countries. There's so many different angles and aspects of that. I feel like right now brands have to really, really humanize themselves if they really want to stand out. I know it was something that I've said before on stage before the pandemic ever happened. For years, I've been saying that businesses need to humanize themselves, but I think it's been magnified. I think COVID-19 has magnified a lot of things that were obvious to us, but they've become even more obvious to us now because of the fact that we're at home, right? So people are scared because of the uncertainty, but I think now is the time more than ever for brands to not market themselves, but to really drive home what they stand for and their brand meaning, right? And so that people can remember them in these dark times. And when they come out into the light, they will remember them as well, right? Because if you were there for me when I was down, then I'm sure as hell going to remember you when I'm up. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's how I feel. That's how I see the sentiment changing. I see a lot of organic, emotive type of branding, emotive type of marketing that's taking hold across different platforms like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I see a lot of people getting the feels, a lot more of the feels going on outside, right? So I feel that's fueling the whole machine right now.
Okay, so when you say you're getting the feels, what do you mean by feels? Because I usually associate feels with relationship. So how do you do? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about that. So I'm thinking more about the fact that everyone needs to embrace the storyteller in them right now, right? It's very important, because if you're the face of your, so let me rewind for the sake of our audience.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a time where people have become brands and brands have become people. I think I've said that at least 100 to 200 times in the last couple of years. It's so important that people understand this. It sounds like a very simple statement, but it's actually very deep. We have people like Gary Vee becoming the most sought after public speakers in the world, in a world where you need to have the bravado and the credentials that Tony Robbins did previously in order to get there. But now you have people like Gary Vee that didn't necessarily have any of those credentials. They got there through sheer ability of creating content that came straight from their heart, right? Not to say that they didn't use their mind. They did use their mind, but they drove it with a narrative of kindness. They drove it with a narrative of actually giving a shit about their customer, right? Which goes against the very grain of capitalistic mentality. I'm sorry to say this, but capitalist markets and capitalistic mentality is all about what can I gain? And there's no such thing as a win-win situation between, so-called willing buyer and willing seller. In a capitalist mentality, there's I gain and you lose to a certain extent, right? And that's been prevalent in the Wall Street mentality for decades in the world. But now we've come to a point, and COVID-19 has just magnified this. COVID-19 has magnified this because it has now made people realize that now more than ever, you truly need to care about what your customer wants. Not because you're offering them a product or a service that you can make money out of. That's one thing. I'm not going to lie. We're not here for charity, guys. We are running businesses. We do need to make money, but because people really genuinely all of a sudden realize the value of the simpler things in life because they no longer have them. People can't go out to KFC anymore, right? People can't go out to watch a movie anymore. People can't go hang out at Zouk anymore, right? People, even the simple things, even simpler than that, people can't even walk outside their own condo door downstairs without a mask now to collect a delivery parcel without worrying about getting infected, right? Pressing a lift door, a lift button. Can you imagine? This is the life we're leading. So now all of a sudden, everything has gone back to the basics. And that gone back to the basic aspect has now started translating into brand's narrative. Now that CEO that was super busy understands the value of building a personal brand. Now he understands why CSR is more than just CSR. It's actually caring about people. You see what I mean? So
Okay.
that's what I feel. That's what I mean, Nina.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this correctly, it's basically about, wait a minute, have a pause, look at what's happening with people, and it's about humanizing your communication and kind of reaching out and caring during this time. Is that what you're saying?
To a certain extent, but marrying that and not losing focus to the fact that you do need to create a clear call to action for your business, whether it's a product or service.
Okay, right? Because at the end of the day, we're here, we need to make a living, right?
Exactly.
Okay, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of like tweaking the conversation slightly in the way you market, as opposed to, hey, we're here, such doesn't sell. It's about, hey, how can I help you?
Absolutely.
Right? And still sell.
Which has been there before COVID-19. It's just become more magnified now.
Okay.
Right?
Sheldon, do you have anything to add to this? With your experience with your clients and stuff like that. I know you guys handle a lot of social media for your clients. What's happening on your site? Maybe you can share with us.
I think I agree with what AJ said, and to echo on to that, people are more, I guess, apart from being bored and stiff, they may be more price sensitive. So a lot of businesses now, well, the ones I'm working with, are devising attractive deals to kind of help people out and give them what they're looking for cheaper prices while still maintaining a healthy profit margin. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and I do definitely agree and understand from everything that AJ just said.
Okay.
Agreed.
Cool. Definitely. Okay, so in terms of, so we've got people being afraid, and they're much more price sensitive, and there's a lot of uncertainty. What is it that right now people want to hear specifically? Number one, do they still want to hear from brands, or should brands just hide and crawl quietly and just die a quiet death? I don't know, just asking, because that could be a strategy.
I love Nina's. Like Nina, you're my favorite drama queen in the world.
Hey, how does that drama? It's kind of straightforward.
Boom.
Mic drop.
I wish there was a GIF here where it was Denzel Washington looking at the screen going, boom.
Okay, Popcorn is gonna work on that, and we'll try and have our GIF and overlay it like in between. Okay.
Yeah. All right, go on.
So, should brands still communicate, or should they just crawl into a hole and just die quietly?
Sheldon, buddy. Sheldon, why don't you take this one?
Oi.
Okay. I definitely don't think that businesses should crawl into a hole and die. But having said that, I would say that because people are confined at home, spending more time online consuming and purchasing. So, like I mentioned before, if brands are able to adjust and devise attractive deals that meet the needs and priorities of their customers who are stuck at home, I think that's exactly what they need to market. And if they can't, it's not the end of the world. Brands can still keep in touch with their customers by, using engaging content to either entertain or educate them.
Okay, so we had a chat about this, right, Sheldon? You said that there were some clients it made sense to kind of push and to tweak their marketing, like the beverage company, if you don't mind sharing that. But you also had
I think one quite interesting one that I have. I've got one client which is in the car spare parts industry. They distribute car spare parts throughout Malaysia, and they saw sales kind of drop. But at the same time, they've got this new product or, this new line they want to introduce to the market. And it's a very interesting multi-tiered parking system that is, saves a lot of space, very economical. No one knows about it yet, So while during this period, they're kind of preparing their materials on what this system is all about, how to use it, why, what kind of benefits it brings. So, that's the kind of content they can focus on to build awareness, and as to echo on to what AJ said, to make use of this time and communicate with them the values that you have to offer, and when you're there, they will remember you when MCOs lifted, and then you can kind of focus on conversions after when businesses are back live.
Okay, so for you, it didn't make sense to sell the current products because it was like car spare parts, and you need to break movement constraint order in order to sell those parts, kind of thing. So,
well, in a sense, it's like as they saw sales drop and we were spending the same amount of budgets on the ads, we thought to repurpose that, and assess our objectives again and see what objectives we could achieve during this period more successfully. So we chose to re-strategize and focus on a new product.
Okay, sounds good.
Which required awareness.
Okay, cool. So basically building awareness of a new product so that once the movement constraint order is, up, there's already a ready customer for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic. What about you, AJ?
I think Sheldon's absolutely spot on, and I completely agree with him. And it's very important for people to
hang on. You guys are like answering exam questions. Is it like so polite? Come on, AJ.
No. Okay. I'm warming up.
Okay.
You gotta be nice first, and then you gently slap, and then you start fist fighting. It's a process. you don't just go jumping into fist fights. You have to build up to it. You get to push a bit, and then you have to get a whole bravado. It's a whole. Back me up, Amin. Come on, right? So.
Yeah, get to it. Yeah.
But coming back to your question,
What was my
Yeah,
question again? I forgot.
you, your question. I'm telling you, bro, she's a legend. She's a legend, bro. uh, we do love her.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
she, uh, the question you asked Sheldon was around how whether or not you feel that brands need to remain as active as they do right now, given the
Yeah.
uncertainty in COVID-19 situation, or should they crawl into the hole and die, as
Okay,
per
I'm
your
glad
exact
you
words,
remember that.
right? All right. So definitely what Sheldon said was absolutely accurate and correct. I think it's very important that people consider this like the deep breath before the plunge. They consider it like the homework you do before an open book exam. They consider it like I don't know, the mini little shows that you do on stage before you become a mainstream and get your big shot at the Apollo as a stand-up comedian, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like this experimentation phase where people can try out things that they normally would not want to try out, whether it's a brand or a person. So I'm talking both from a personal branding point of view as well as a company brand point of view. I think it's really, it's an exciting time. Unfortunately, I know it's a bit insensitive to say that because, people are dying because of this virus. And I'm not saying that in an insensitive way. Trust me, I can't tell you how heartbroken I am to know that over 120,000 people have died because of COVID-19, right? And that 2 million people are infected around the world now. But I'm saying that if we're talking about in context of marketing, I think that right now brands need to experiment. They need to go nuts. They need to go crazy. Let them try things that they haven't tried before. And I'll tell you why. Because on platforms like LinkedIn, you can do it organically without having to spend a dime, right? Yes, you can go and do it. You can do it with a paid model. Don't get me wrong. Again, I err on the side of caution. If you live in financially challenging times, I'm going to be the last guy to tell you to go and spend, and maximize and max out your ad spend budget right now. No, I don't think that's a good idea. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to go and spend your money. And when I say experimentation, I don't mean go crazy with an ad spend. So blow your money on things that never worked and then end up losing a lot of money. No. I mean organically, right? And I'm going to go back to the statement that I made earlier. If brands have become people and people have become brands, then my advice to you is that if you're the CEO of a large GLC or you're a startup founder for your upcoming startup, right? Wherever you were in your life cycle of your business, now is the time for you to Gary V that shit. What do I mean by that? I mean, now is the time for you to become the face of your brand and let people believe and trust in you because of who you are. And then when times turn good again, because they will, every dark day has a silver lining and has a sun coming up the next day. There's always tomorrow, and there's going to be a better tomorrow, right? And when that happens, if you've taken the time to build that brand right now, using your face, and you are the champion and the ambassador, and you Gary V that shit per se, then trust me, it will pay off when times are good again. Because you would have built up a following for the right reasons. Not because you're selling, but because you truly are empowering other people with the value you have online as a potential influencer in the future. So
Okay.
that's my thought.
I think that's fantastic. So what I'm hearing from you guys is this is basically the time to not crawl into a hole and die, but basically the time to test, come up with all marketing strategies, find out what works for you, and basically, in your words, market the shit out of your personal brand and your company's brand. Just go for it, right? Okay. Now, can we share some data? We actually have some data. It's new research on advertising during COVID-19. So we actually, not us, somebody did, asked a panel of people who use social media how they felt about advertising during COVID-19, and these were the results. 68% of people actually said that brands should continue advertising products as normal. 51% actually agreed that seeing or hearing ads gave them a sense of normalcy. And 77% actually agreed that they feel more positively about brands making an effort to support society at the moment. Do you guys have anything to add to this?
I completely agree with that.
Okay.
Tailoring your marketing to be relevant with the times and to maintain what's normal the expectations of people, it just makes sense.
Okay.
Nina, for the sake of our audience, could you repeat those stats again? Because you went through it pretty fast. I think I want to hear it one more time as well.
Okay, so 68% said that brands should continue advertising products as per normal. 51% agreed that seeing or hearing ads gave them a sense of normalcy. 77% actually agreed that they feel more positively about brands making an effort to support society at the moment.
Completely agree.
Okay, and that's how they should, they should be more confident with this data, right, in advertising. Okay,
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
the natural thing for businesses to do, this is what I would think, right? Okay, so we're about to be hit by probably a huge economic downturn. I need to pull back on spending, as in I need to save as much as I can. Is this a wise decision to make, or should businesses continue to promote themselves on social media or online? And if so, how?
Okay. Sheldon, you want me to go first on this one?
I can take it. Okay.
Ooh, I like.
Nice. I think when things are uncertain, it makes sense for businesses to pull back and observe how people are reacting, what their priorities are, and to re-strategize. But having said that, I think businesses should still continue to communicate their value to their customers and keep their customer relations active, seeing as people are spending more time online since they're stuck at home. So yes, businesses should still promote themselves on social media. And if you're selling products or services that answer your target's current priorities and needs, don't be afraid to ask for the sale. An example would be if you're in the F&B or grocery business with delivery, or you weren't, but now you are. This would be a good time to ask for the sale. Post MCO, a client of ours in the F&B industry selling beverages decided to start marketing on Facebook and Instagram despite the lockdown in hopes of generating sales online. This is the first time I've ever experienced something like this. So I did tell him that, be cautious. We can experiment. We'll see what happens. And, thankfully, they saw their sales increase from 4 drinks per day pre-MCO up to 50 drinks post-MCO. Now, on the flip side, on the other hand, if your products or services don't necessarily resolve your customers' personal needs or requires physical inspection or a human touch, like, when you're buying cars or a house, this doesn't mean that you can't market or you can't ask for the sale. You could still run engaging awareness campaigns to stay relevant and keep your customer relations active. You could run campaigns with exclusive discounts or promotions that can be redeemed once the MCO is lifted. That way you could still generate sales or at least cultivate some customer interest.
Okay, so be at the top of people's mind, right? Basically, still.
I think, get creative, stay relevant. And if your products are able to resolve your target customers' current priorities and needs, I think bang on, don't be afraid to ask for the sale.
Okay, got it. Do you think as Asians we're afraid to ask for the sale, or we're kind of risk resistant, risk averse?
Not really. I think sometimes, business owners, if they're handling it themselves and their operations and management of everything, it's kind of hard to see things in perspective when you're, so deep into work. And sometimes you just have to take a step back, or you need someone who can, who's not so involved with the nitty-gritty details to be able to step in, assess what's going on, and give you a fresh perspective and let you know if your products are the right ones to ask for sale.
Okay, cool, got it. Do you have anything to add to that, AJ?
Yeah, actually, I've got 2 case studies. 2 case studies that came to mind. About 3.5, 4 weeks ago, I was approached. Wait, not 3.5 weeks. How long has it been since we started the lockdown, guys, here in Malaysia?
I have no idea. I have no sense of time.
So
It's been counting.
About 3 weeks, right? So 3 weeks, okay. So about 3 weeks ago, almost a month, right? So about 3 weeks ago, I had a trainer, a fellow trainer, and he was coming to me and he was telling me about how his revenue is wiped out for the next at least 2 quarters, and he's really worried about it, right? He told me about how worried he was, right? And I don't want to mention his name because he's also a very dear friend of mine. I don't want to mention his name because this conversation is more of the educational value. So hope you guys don't mind, I won't mention the name. But he's a fairly well-known trainer in Malaysia, and The only difference is there is a bit of a, I suppose he's not as digitally comfortable as I am as a person. He's not too tech savvy, but he's a great trainer and he's really hands on. And when he told me about how his physical sessions in terms of bookings and all that's happened with COVID-19 have just been wiped out revenue wise, I gave him an idea and I said, you don't always have to jump to the most extreme measures straight away. You can look at doing something that's just a little bit different in your business, but still allows you to stay within your own realm. So he said, okay, AJ, give me an example. And I said, okay, instead of running a public program at Easton Hotel or at Mandarin Oriental where you invite people and you can't do that anymore, why don't you do an online training summit? Why don't you do a virtual summit where you charge people a certain fee, and obviously the fee is going to be a lot lower because it's online, but all that means is that you target a much larger market and a volume of people attending. In fact, the way I look at it is a virtual summit or a training summit that you can have now is actually better than even a physical one in these times. And he said, explain how. I said, well, when you have a physical training session, you have a limitation on the number of packs who can attend, but online you don't. You can imagine if you're, but he's like, no, but AJ, I have to sell tickets for much cheaper. And I said, yeah, you do. So instead of charging, I don't know, 2,000 ringgit per packs when you do a 2-day program or 3-day program, yeah, maybe you charge $100 or $200 instead, this time online. But here's my point. If you do the right way, you create the right marketing funnel and you've got a nice brand on LinkedIn already, people know you. And if you leverage the right way, you might end up getting fourfold more people attending your virtual summit. Therefore, it would more than enough cover your initial revenue targets and then some. You'd actually make a profit there. You'd make money. So he was blown away by that. He was like, actually, that's true. If I really think about it, there are different advantages of doing a virtual summit. Because he was very against the idea when I brought it up. When I first brought it up, he was very against. He was like, no, training can't be done without the touch. He had that thing. And I said, yeah, you're right. Actually, ordinarily, ideally, you're right. It's really hands-on. It's really experiential. But in these times, these are unprecedented times. We've not faced these times before, right? A lot of people need to realize this. In our generation, there are very few people alive right now who have seen anything close to this sort of level of a catastrophe, right? The people who went through World War II that are alive, maybe they're the closest who could actually imagine this world. But everyone else has never, ever seen this. This is unprecedented. So, he's very happy. He's going ahead full force. He's got a team hired for a virtual summit. He's super happy about it. That's one case study. Another case study is a little bit more of a personal one. I had a buddy of mine who's living in a condo. This was in week 1 of the MCO. And this guy was all bravado. He's a guy who works out, right? And he's all buffed and everything. And he's like, dude, COVID-19 doesn't affect young people. So like, why are they forcing me to stay home? And that's the type of mentality. That's the type of mentality that I wanted to slap him for, right? I wanted to give him one tight slap. And I said, dude, it's not about whether or not you experience any symptoms. It's not about whether or not you get infected. What's about is the fact that if you do by any chance become a carrier, you could go around infecting hundreds of more people. So sit at home and stay in your condo no matter what you do, right? So he was like, dude, I'm bored and everything. I was like, okay, you know what? Here's an idea. If you're so itchy to get out, let me give you an idea. You live in a condo, and I asked him one question. Do you live in a condo where your lift requires you to tag your card before you go to different floors? And he goes, no, I live in an old condo. And I said, okay, here's what you do. There are lots of people these days in MCOs. The security of every condo has made it such that you're not allowed to go down and collect your own parcels. So nobody's allowed to come up to your condo. You have to go down and collect your parcel. So even in my condo right now, if there's a parcel, I have to go and collect it myself. The guards don't come up, riders don't come up, nothing. Everybody has to go down and get their own stuff from a common area. So this guy, I gave him an idea. Why don't you become the delivery man for the condo? There are a lot of people who are upset about not wanting to leave the house. There are single moms who have kids and they don't want to leave the house to go get a package. So charge them a small fee, put it up on your group, and say, you'll take 10 ringgit or 20 ringgit and from every condo person for delivering your stuff for the lazy people, right? And you'll be wearing a mask and gloves and all that. You'll do all that precaution, and you can become the delivery guy. The guy did it, and guess how much money he made?
How much?
He made 530 ringgit that first couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Not bad. So I'm assuming it's increased.
No, he got shut down. He got shut down. No, because after the phase 2, they made it more strict, and they said that you are a risk to other. You're a risk, right? So you may be willing to take the risk of going and collecting parcels from other people and coming in, but what if you get infected and you don't even know it? Because as he said, I'm all buffed and I'm strong, bro, and nothing can stop me. Yeah, sure, you're going around, but you're prancing around, pressing people's doorbells, and you might be sick already. You don't even know it. You're infecting someone else. So he got shut down, but in those 2-3 weeks, he made 530 ringgit. Until date, he laughs about it. He says, I have no idea what type of crazy ideas you have, AJ. I said, dude, you got to do what you got to do. You were itchy to move. So move. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But,
so anyway, moral of the story is?
Moral of the story is you don't need to look and make it such a complex process to find something to do in these times. Look for something that really adds value, like Sheldon said. Sheldon made a really good point. Just look for things that add real value, right? And then you don't have to come up with a rocket science equivalent idea. You can just do the simple tweaks in your business, and maybe, who knows, you might make a fortune out of those tweaks. You don't know. It's not a surefire shot, but you may, right?
Okay. Do you want to share? I mean, because Amin is actually a trainer, and we also have our training arm, right?
Yes. Right.
I mean, I think you need to increase your volume, just in case. Okay.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much. I mean, that was really good. Thank you. Okay. Nina, what else you got for us?
Okay, so very quickly, social media strategy now. If they should change it, I mean, we kind of know that it has to be tweaked a little bit. How should it be? Do you have like a concise digit, or it's too complicated an answer?
Sheldon.
I love how he just throws it at Sheldon.
I think this is a very wide question. It's hard to give, as much as I want to, an answer that would be a one size fits all. But I think generally speaking, yes, they should change, and well, not change, but I think they should be adjusted. Businesses should adapt their approach to marketing on social media based on whether their products or services are able to resolve their target customers' needs and priorities. They need to first make that assessment. Selling F&B products, kitchen utensils, general home improvement products, or services like delivery services, tech and marketing solutions like myself, homeschooling, or even business solutions to help other businesses adapt to the current pandemic, whether it's B2B or B2C. You're in a good spot. You should be marketing without fear of asking for the sale. If you're selling products or services, again, that don't necessarily resolve your customers' needs and priorities, you could still promote your business and stay relevant, as I mentioned earlier, by using effective, educative, entertaining content marketing. Or you can get creative, and try to devise some attractive deals. I'll give you some examples. Let's say if you're in the gym or massage industry, which I think is one of the most heavily impacted industries, you could sell digital passes at exclusive MCO rates that can be redeemed when shops open back up. You may find yourself with a long queue post MCO. People, to me, my view at least, people love to have savings in these sort of times, and especially in anticipation of either getting back in shape or just plain pampered.
Okay, cool. In fact, I read somewhere that Louis Vuitton, after they opened their shops in Wuhan, the sales just went through the roof.
Yeah.
That's like
it's
priorities, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's Louis Vuitton.
Huh? What? Say again?
I'm just kidding. That was bad.
Do you
Russell
have
Peters.
anything?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like I just feel like, again, maybe I'm a broken tape record, but I feel like it's really, really important for people to understand that they need to empower the personal brands of their employees more than their own company's brand, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes people have been making for a very long time is that they think that by, for example, if I own a brand called XYZ, they think by pushing and spending dollars and pushing the profiles on Facebook, on LinkedIn of XYZ, that I'm going to eventually create a legacy household brand, right? Like Nike, like Louis Vuitton, right? Like all these things. But I'm arguing and I'm countering that by saying that as isn't the case, that you are going to have to identify champions at the very least within your organization that truly embody your brand. And you're going to have to give them the training and the coaching and the ability to truly go out there and build themselves a personal human brand, right? That Gary Vee has, right? And then naturally, without it being too salesy, without it being too obvious, these people are going to create opportunities for your XYZ brand that has hired these people to bring back revenue and to bring back deals, right? Like a lot of people, I think they overcomplicate it, but it's really simple. If you look at VaynerMedia and Gary Vaynerchuk, right? How many people would know VaynerMedia and how many people would know Gary Vaynerchuk? It's easy to say that. Same thing with Richard Branson and Virgin. How many people know Virgin and how many people know Richard Branson? I'm willing to bet you that more people know Richard, more people know Gary, and less people know the names of their companies. Trust me, despite how famous those companies are, trust me, there are more people who follow them on Instagram and Twitter, on LinkedIn, and truly believe in them and connect with them as a human being than the brand itself, right? And the reason they decide to go to the brand is because of those people in more than 50 to 60% of the time, because they really trust those people. So I feel like it's really important right now that everybody takes this opportunity, whether you're a car sales guy who works for BMW selling cars, whether you're a CEO, whether you're a doctor at a hospital, whether you're actually not a doctor at a hospital. He's frontlining right now, saving people from COVID. So maybe not a doctor at a hospital, but like, an engineer or anybody, whoever you are, that you feel like, wow, I'm sitting at home and twiddling my thumbs. Don't twiddle. Don't twiddle anymore. Build a brand. Like my advice, start from LinkedIn. Start building your personal brand on LinkedIn right now. Do it now, right? Take a few more courses, expand your knowledge. If you're a computer data scientist, maybe take a course on blockchain. MIT is giving out free courses these days. Harvard is, right? Take a new course, write a new book, do whatever you can to essentially become the Gary Vee of your own industry, right? To become essentially the Tai Lopez of your own social media point and area scopes. So that's my advice, Nina. I genuinely believe it.
Okay, so you believe in developing a person's personal brand, yeah?
No. I mean like there is an equation, right? So for example, if I work for AirAsia, let's just use as an example, AirAsia. You've got Tony Fernandez, who has an amazing brand, right? Tony Fernandez as a person, just like the Richard Branson example I gave you, the Gary Vee example, again, Tony Fernandez has a huge following of his own, right? But here's the thing, below Tony, there are only one or two or three people that would ever come to mind as having a presence online, right? But what if you could give an opportunity to every one of the AirAsia staff, right, in different capacities or different champions to identify, and let them build that brand, not on the basis of salesy behavior, but on the basis of just truly showing people who they are, because they're interesting people, they live interesting lives, and they're sharing real content. So if you really think about it, every company is going to be a media company. Sooner or later, every company is going to become a media company. Why not just accelerate it? Why not do it now? Why not use COVID-19 to accelerate that journey? Start it now.
Okay. Yeah. So basically what you're saying is, which is actually everything that PopCon has been telling people, turn your people or your employees into your own influencers. If you're going to be hiring micro influencers, why not get your own employees, because they're your best brand ambassadors. Yeah.
Well said.
And sorry?
Well said.
Well said. Oh, okay. I thought it was Amin. Okay. Amin, we cannot hear you for some reason. Yeah, we cannot hear you. Did you mute yourself? Okay, while Armin is sorting that out. Okay, yes, thank you. A couple of reminders. Do we have any questions, by the way, right now? Yeah, I was about to say that as well. So we're actually going to give out free digital marketing consultation. So if you guys are interested, please comment in the comment section below and you just say, I want. Okay, got it? And it's got to be, I want. Okay, kind of thing. Okay, so before we go on to the next question, I mean, is there any question from viewers out there? Lato, are you sure you're just not fanboying, AJ?
I love you. I love you too, Lato.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's say I'm not online. What's one of the fastest way that I can move my business online and my sales online? Is it some people think it's too late, you know, how do I do this, or is it still possible? AJ, let's go with you. I think you probably answered it in the last question.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself, and I don't want to eat into too much of time for Sheldon as well to have an opportunity to talk on this. So I would say the short answer, yes. You definitely can. And if you're in the hardcore product industry, I'd say start exploring dropshipping e-commerce as soon as possible.
Okay.
Right. There's a lot of potential. I know people, we've all heard these stories. I know people who didn't have anything except for a Facebook account, and that's the height of their own knowledge, their own digital knowledge. And they turned that around, started selling scarves online, Muslimah scarves, and started making a fortune out of that just by doing a dropship operation on Facebook, using Facebook as a medium to sell those things, right? We've heard these stories dime a dozen. And yes, it's a saturated market. It's not so easy to do that anymore. I agree. But as long as you find a unique value proposition, find something unique, right? It's really important that people understand that content marketing, people don't just want more content. People want better content. That's one of the biggest issues that I see in the market today. A lot of people come over during my coaching sessions and my general's mentoring session when I talk to them about content marketing. I see this gap. A lot of people think that just because they go through the actions of doing it, they think that's good enough. Just because they're like, oh, but AJ, I post every day, twice a day on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I do it on Instagram. And you see, I've got my team making infographics and everything. And I'm like, dude, nobody wants to read that shit. It's boring. Like, it may look good, but nobody cares, right? Like, no offense, really nobody cares. Like, nobody wants to know about this stuff. You gotta know that the real magic happens in the conversations you have. And you're not gonna have a conversation with anyone if you don't share something interesting to begin with. Nobody's gonna want to talk to you if it's not interesting, right? So create interesting, engaging content for the sake of real value for people. that will eventually lead you to a conversation. That conversation that may turn into an opportunity, and that opportunity may turn into money. It's really that simple.
Okay, sounds good. Create valuable, engaging content. Sheldon, I think we were speaking about this, and you have like a different way of looking at things, right? Do you?
I mean, not different, but I mean, to add on, I agree with everything that AJ said, to give context and, on how people or businesses can move online. I'll try to answer this in, to cater to the general audience. I'll divide it into two segments. One is in relation to businesses who are services based, and the second would be businesses who are product based. So if your business is services based, like mine, or, if you're offering consultancy services like marketing or business consultancy, training or coaching, this is a good time, and shifting is relatively straightforward. You don't really need a website. You could use Facebook and Instagram to run lead generation campaigns. That's the first step. You can use Facebook and Instagram's lead forms. You don't have to use your own. All you really need to get started is a business page, which you could set up in minutes on your own. If you close any of those leads, when they do come in, it's just how much you pay for each lead and the quality of each lead. You could make use of, like AJ said earlier, virtual consultation or events, with no limitations to how many packs can attend. Like this one today, to render our value services. For me, using virtual consultation or events has, worked to my advantage, because I don't have to spend time commuting back and forth to see clients, vice versa. So tools like Google Hangouts, Zoom, Skype, I think those are great choices. Now, if you're a business that's product based, so say you're a brick and mortar business and you don't have, well, not yet at least, an online business platform that can process online transactions like an e-commerce store. Shifting online can take some time, money, and research, and I understand this can be quite daunting and frustrating for business owners who are still exploring. So if you have the budget or the team, you could have an e-commerce store set up within a week, assuming, of course, you have all the content ready, like your product photos, better videos, or catalogs. From there, you could start running online marketing campaigns to generate store traffic, right? And then you can retarget these people who have visited your store from your traffic campaigns with the objective of conversion. And these are all real types of objectives that you can set on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't have the budget or the team, you can start small and build up. You don't have to splurge immediately and make a huge splash. You can make use of Facebook or Instagram Shop. You can run ads, small ads, to promote your business and products and process transactions manually until you feel it's worth the investment to set up an e-commerce store to eliminate all that manual processing of purchases and deliveries, because you got tired of it.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So basically what I'm hearing is if you don't have the budget for it, you can immediately start with Facebook and Instagram Shop and get like a form for lead generation. But if you do have the budget for it, e-commerce, just have your own.
No. If you're product based, not so much lead generation, more, engagement campaigns, traffic campaigns, messaging campaigns, push them to kind of inquire about the products that you want to ship. You can run individual campaigns for individual products. Like if you want, if you have like 20 products, and like if you sell car spare parts, for example, there's so many spare parts, so many brands. You could ship different brands, different products, and assess the results. Maybe on the same audience, maybe on a different audience.
Okay. And with that, this is why I'm going to repeat this again. We're giving out free consultations, digital marketing consultations. So you definitely want to take advantage of it because it's not the same answer for the same business. It's customized for your business, and it also depends on your budget. So we want to be able to, do the right thing for you. So, if you want to, please take advantage of that. Do you have anything to add on that, Amin?
Just a few. It's filling up. There's a few other people that comes in and say they want Santiran. We hear you that you wanted it, right? So come in fast, man. I think the seats limited is only to 10 seats, yeah?
Okay, got it. Now, I have a question because a lot of the reference that marketeers can make is from all these Western marketing gurus like Neil Patel. So one of the blogs, Neil Patel's blog in particular, I was reading, it says that there are opportunities right now, and one of it is actually ads, paid ads are actually really, really cheap. Now, first things first, is this true? And should definitely I should be running ads. But is it true that paid ads are cheap right now?
Sheldon, you want to take this, buddy?
Okay. Okay, because this is like a few questions lumped into one big question. I'll kind of take it apart. Whether you should be running ads on social media, yes, you should. Not because you believe or it's a fact that ads are really, really cheap, but you should do it to get sales or at least stay relevant. Now, on whether ads are really, really cheap, I've read the article because you shared it to me before the talk.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, just for me, I find it hard to accept this as a fact. Not only because what is cheap is subjective, but most importantly, to know for sure that small businesses aren't spending as much as they used to, as a whole or generally on digital marketing, you really need access to a majority of the accounts of small businesses in your country to analyze that data, to be absolutely certain. And I didn't see any evidence to back that up there. It seems more like, an assumption, a calculated assumption. So I wouldn't take it as a fact. So I'll give you more context. For all we know, more small businesses could be pushing for online sales now, because they need it now more than ever when physical sales have diminished. So, personally for me, my own personal experience so far for the past month, before the MCO, I didn't really see many restaurants or beverage shops, really keen to explore going online. They were pretty happy with their walk-in volumes without having to invest more. Now I'm seeing at least 30% of requests come from restaurants or beverage shops, because they're keen. No, they need to shift online and offer delivery. They're not sure whether to set up their own store, whether to, just rely on Grab, StoreHub. They're beginning to kind of do some research to understand the transaction costs. Like Grab 35%, StoreHub 3%, but then there's terms and conditions. They kind of have to do a cost benefit analysis. So, these people who didn't used to look to go online are now, occupying at least 30% of my requests. And, they are innovating with things like lunch sets, DIY cooking sets, content on how to cook dishes with the aim of selling these DIY cooking sets. They're getting really creative. They're adjusting. So, I take these sort of articles in, even if it's by Neil Patel, as interesting point of views, not as a fact unless there's verified evidence, as opposed to calculated assumptions. It's kind of like how, if I may, it's kind of like how you can't believe everything you read online about Corona or especially on WhatsApp unless it's via verified authority.
Very well said.
Okay. Yeah. Before you answer that, I have to deal with my relationship with Neil Patel anymore. I might not be able to trust him anymore. But yes, I already don't like his voice, but on his videos. But
it's just my view. It's just my view.
But while I deal with my relationship with Neil Patel, AJ, do you have anything to add?
About your relationship with Neil Patel?
No. About that.
Whatsoever. I don't think it really matters, man. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? The world I come from and where I come from as a storyteller, I've never thought ads or paying for something or what we call paid advertising is really ever going to be making up more than about 10 to 20% of your funnel. That's where I come from. I come from that world where I feel authenticity, hard work, consistency, being real, being a storyteller, going out there and trying new ways of trying to engage with people. I always felt that even though it's a harder way, I mean, a lot of people would say, AJ, why do that, right? You can just pay and that will just boost, right? So why pay for it? Why not just pay for it, bro, and boost it, right? Well, it's the same reason that even though I've been for the last 2-3 years voted as, one of the top influencers on LinkedIn, I still don't have the number of followers that a lot of these other guys do have. Now, I'm not saying that these guys have paid for those followers, but we do know that a lot of people online can buy a lot of followers. You can buy anything you want now. You can pay for it, right? I mean, you can buy followers, you can buy likes, you can buy anything you want, right? But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they are, but my point is, I just feel like just take the hard road. Try to build a brand that's worth being on your sleeve. Like, be proud of it, because you took the pain to build it. You didn't take a shortcut to build it, right? And in my opinion, paid ads, whether more expensive now, whether cheaper, I don't think they really matter. Honestly, I don't think they matter. And about Neil Patel, I mean, if Neil Patel is the same guy I read the books about, the guy's a brilliant guy. He's an online marketing expert. He really knows his own stuff, right? But at the same time, I'm also going to put a disclaimer. Neil Patel, if he's the same guy you're talking about, he also owns Kissmetrics. He owns Crazy Egg, right? He owns these companies, and he really plays in that whole, SEO, metrics, that whole social media. I'm not saying anything, but a lot of people can write what they write for the sake of an agenda, right? I'm not saying anything more, but a lot of people can say things because it suits the narrative that drives home part of their business. And again, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that Neil is doing that. Don't get me wrong. Neil, don't come and sue me now, bro. Not saying you're doing it, all right?
I'm tagging him in this video.
I'm just saying that everything you see on social media, just learn how to look at both sides of the coin, guys. Don't always look at one side of the coin. Go and do your own research and see the other side. Make your own decisions then.
This is why we love having you guys on board, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I find that speaking to local Southeast Asian marketeers, I get more in depth and more value when we ask questions, kind of thing. So thank you very much, which is why. Is somebody cutting grass somewhere in your house?
Yeah,
somewhere?
Well, I live in a condo.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, got it. Okay, so we are running short on time. Let me just see what kind of questions we have, right? Okay, so right now, a lot of people think there's gloom and doom, but are there actually opportunities as well in this space and time? And if there are opportunities, what are those? What can they take advantage of immediately?
Is this for Sheldon or for me, buddy? For me, Nina.
For you and Sheldon. Sheldon can add in later.
My man, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sheldon Ong and Sheldon Cooper, so always go for it, bro.
Okay, all right. Okay, wait and see.
Oh no,
personally for me.
Not wait and see. It's basically if opportunities right now. Are there opportunities right now? Because a lot of people are worried, save money, economic recession coming, but are there opportunities for businesses right now that people can take advantage of? What is it, if there are?
Well, I can give a general answer because again, it's hard to give a one size fits all, but okay. Personally, for me, I don't see a problem with, firstly wanting to wait and observe the market's reaction as a business before deciding what your next move is going to be, because you have to plan things out, you have to adjust, you have to make contingencies. But I wouldn't spend too long waiting and not doing anything unless, your product or service isn't one that meets the needs and priorities of your target customers, and you don't have the budget to execute or explore content marketing to stay relevant. If you have the budget or the capacity and your product or services are able to resolve your customers' pains in this pandemic, yeah, you should take charge, start marketing, build data. That's one of the opportunities. Take this time to take charge, start doing something, build that data, look at the results, tweak them, and don't be afraid to ask for the sale when you have finally found what works for you.
Okay. Sounds good. So it sounds like testing, and, go for the sale.
Yeah, you'll never be able to, I mean, unless you're really lucky, but most of the time, when you see a successful campaign, it's usually a result of it's usually a culmination of, weeks or months of pre-planning and execution and tweaking and refining and, really assessing who your best target audiences are, age group, demographics, material, promotions. So it's, unless you're really lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is why I might add that you work with an agency because you get them to figure out all these things for you.
Yeah.
And it ends up becoming cheaper or more affordable than you hiring your own team. I mean, for some businesses, right? Okay. AJ, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I covered it all. Well done.
Okay, cool. I do have a slide that I just want to share, specific to COVID-19. Do you have the slide up?
It's up. It's up.
It's the same survey.
It's up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's the same survey. We asked people what brands could do right now that would be useful. A lot of them said support frontline health support staff, 82%. Support vulnerable people in the community, 80%. Provide reliable, accurate information, 80%. Support local communities, 70%. And support employees. Provide prompt customer service, show acts of kindness, and boost positivity, just to share some data. Okay, one last question before we end off with the rapid fire round. What if a business is about to launch? Is this a good time or wait?
Okay, so for me personally, it really depends on the type of business you are.
Okay.
Okay, for me, if you happen to be in more of the basic level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you're talking about the more basic things, if you happen to be on, for example, you're opening a restaurant, you're about to launch it, definitely not the right time. I mean, even if you justify it yourself and say, oh, but I can still do takeout. Yeah, it's going to take you time. You're launching a new restaurant, and then after that, it's going to take you time to build awareness about that new restaurant, and then you're going to go cater that food. So maybe not the best time. I say it's common sense, really. If anything like a restaurant, or you're opening up a laundromat, or you're doing you're thinking about launching an online business that sells, something random that really isn't something of a need right now, but a luxury. I don't know, the things on your phone, that you put, like these little things that you can stick on your phone. If you wanna get into that right now and you wanna launch it, maybe not, but I would err on the side of caution. In my opinion, I would err on not trying to set up something that takes a huge amount of effort for you to build, in terms of dollars and resources and all that. I would say don't go out there and try to reinvent the wheel. If you want to find an opportunity right now in COVID-19 times, why not jump onto a bandwagon that you already know makes money? I'll give you an example, guys. All right. So for the longest time, me and my partner Ryan, we run this holding company called Vision 77. Right. And our hope is that in about 10 to 15 years from now, we would have 77 ventures around the world that are in one way or another impacting people's lives for good. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why we call it Vision 77. Now, in Vision 77, we have about 16 companies already and on the portfolio. And one of those companies is called NDN Global. Right. Now, NDN originally started out as a financial firm, but somewhere along about 8-9 months ago, I would say about almost a year ago, me and Ryan were talking about repositioning the company into a healthcare company, into a health tech company per se, health tech, right? Now, these are medical diagnostic devices from very high level, very sophisticated testing kits that come with their own diagnostic software, with pain management tools that can even tell you through AI and machine learning and through sensors, IoT, that you can put onto a baby and it can tell you where the baby is feeling pain. If an infant can't say it, it can tell you, right? So they're really, really dope things that we're looking at bringing into the market with our partners, right? But this was about a year ago and it wasn't a priority. It was on our books and we had thought about it, but we really didn't push it. And then boom, COVID-19 happened. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, that same project of, it being a health tech company, it just exploded, right? All of a sudden, it became so much more important. It became so much more valuable. Why? Because health tech is huge now. Everybody wants diagnostics. Every doctor, hospital, you can name it, they want it, right? So Now, all of a sudden, it's become a priority, number 1 or 2 on our list, to make sure that we get everything online from a content marketing perspective, from a website perspective at the very least, to be up and ready. That's why me and Ryan and the team has been working for the last 2-3 days on upgrading the website, making it more, effective, more detailed. And that's a good example, guys. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to reinvent your things. You don't need to go and start a new business, because I think you're taking a lot of risk.
Right. Okay.
Look at ways of tweaking and re-engineering your existing offerings to a COVID-19 specific requirement, and then maybe you'll be safer.
Okay, cool. Do you want to add anything to that, Sheldon?
Okay. Is it a good time to launch? Again, it's hard for me to give a one-size-fits-all answer as much as I want to, but I don't want to give any false hope or misleading answers, so I'll try to give some key factors to consider. And if if this resonates with anyone, and you feel that this gives you the confidence to try, go for it. So say if business costs are low, you've got a good product at a low price point, you don't need to purchase a lot of stock, and all you need to do is spend on platforms and marketing, like dropshipping. I'd say go for it if, you've done the research and the homework and the assessments and the cost projections. I think more importantly, it's important to put ourselves first and foremost in the shoes of our customers. And you have to know who they are. You have to know what they're feeling. Yeah. Or if you don't know, you have to at least have a very good gauge of what they're feeling and what their needs and priorities are. You have to understand, that they may also be very price sensitive. So take that into account when you're sourcing for products or services and trying to strategize what price points to come in with. If your business idea offers products or services that resolve your customers' needs, like F&B, groceries, delivery, entertainment, consultancy, and your startup costs are low, being confined to digital setup, marketing expenses since you can't open a physical store, I'd be very inclined to encourage you to, launch and get started.
Okay, sounds good. So at the end of the day, I guess it depends on the products.
Yep, it depends.
Price points, costings.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we don't have much time. We've come to the end. It is now the rapid fire round of questions. So just straight up answers, okay? Are you ready? Especially AJ?
Okay.
Yeah?
Just to add, guys, in this round, answer without thinking, guys. Spot on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Spot on, okay? So, question number 1. What advice would you give to people in business out there with respect to marketing themselves online, regardless of the crisis we are in right now? Probably a repeat, but just quick, bam answers.
Okay. Authentic and consistent storytelling.
Okay?
Okay, my advice would be to test. Test content, test marketing materials and creatives, test target audiences, test ad performances, measure them. Make sure, you assess which of your ads yield the best results. Compare your cost per results, conversions, and your return on ad spend.
Okay. I think that's very good, both of you guys. Okay. What are the worst things businesses can do right now?
Okay, I think I'll try to give as many as I can. I'll try to keep it within 3. I think one of the worst things to do is to clam up and stop all postings and cease all digital advertising while waiting and observing. To be tone deaf, to what's going on, and to not tailor, your posts or your ads to the current market sentiment. Again, to get creative and, fit the bill. Last thing I think would be to share news on your site or your page or both, that isn't necessarily from a trusted source. You haven't done your due diligence, or you share something that you may not necessarily be in a position of, qualified to answer.
Okay. Those are very good. What about you, AJ? Do you have anything to add?
I'd say from both from a personal as well as a business standpoint, never to lose hope, right? Don't fall into a state of hopelessness, given the global pandemic and how bleak things look right now. 2, I would say that ensure that you are constantly willing to pivot, right? Yes, I agree with Sheldon. You should test and experiment, but never get obsessed with your ideas. One thing that I notice, a lot of people get obsessed with their own ideas, and then they try their level best to force the market to validate that idea, but it never does. And that's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, right? Because people are obsessed with their ideas. So number 2 is never get obsessed with your ideas. And number 3, which is the most important, is always try your level best to humanize everything that you do. Don't fall into officialness. I call it officiousness, right? Don't try to maintain a formal tone with your audiences in these times particularly. Go out of your way to ensure that you actually care for them. You genuinely care for what the market needs, and you genuinely care for what the customer wants.
Okay, I think you pretty much answered my next question is, what are some do's for businesses with respect to marketing right now? So let's go with Sheldon first anyway. So what are some do's for businesses?
Okay. We all know that the current market sentiment has changed. People's needs and priorities have been realigned and adjusted. They're stuck at home, bored, stiff. Anything that delivers value, entertainment, or education are always, readily consumed. Naturally, businesses should adjust and re-strategize their marketing promotions to fit the current market sentiment. It only makes sense. Generally, businesses can offer or package products or services that would appeal to the target customer's current pain points. Could be cheaper while still maintaining a healthy profit margin, exclusive MCO rates, etc. Drawing to the most important thing. If you haven't figured it out, you have to innovate and test.
Okay. Okay, so those are the do's. AJ?
Same, pretty much what Sheldon and I said earlier. Again, I don't want to repeat the same thing, but essentially just ensure that everybody has the opportunity to build a brand that they can be proud of, both of themselves as well as representing their company, right? I think I'll give you guys an example. If you go online, at one point there was somebody called by the name of Nadia Tan Abdullah, who used to work for SP Satya, right?
Correct.
Now, SP Satya is considered the largest property developer in Malaysia, and some say one of the largest in the whole of APAC, right? Now, if that's the case, you can imagine that SP Satya has this huge brand already, right? It's people know it. There are tons of customers. People have bought properties. I've been to some of them. Some of my best friends live in those properties. They're beautiful. But then, why is it that on LinkedIn, for the longest time, when Nadia Tan was their CHRO, why was she able to command a stronger brand following, a stronger followership, and a stronger movement just by being Nadia Tan Abdullah, CHRO of SP Satya, definitely, but she was still Nadia Tan Abdullah, right? You know what I mean? Now, this is something that I think a lot of Asian companies have kind of missed. If you want to talk about local insights, guys, I think this is something that a lot of Asian companies, particularly in the SME sector, no offense, guys, but the SME sector has really failed to understand the correlation between building up trusted faces and trusted personal brands in your company, like Nadia Tan Abdullah, to go out there and build that traction. And then that eventually means more opportunity for the whole brand, right? But they haven't really created that connection yet. They haven't really put that equation together. So they're not investing in enough people to become like Nadia Tan Abdullah for their own respective SP Satya brands. You see what I mean, guys? So It's really, really important. That's one thing. I don't have 3 things. I mean, Sheldon is really cool and detailed that way. I don't have 3 things, but I have that one thing that you really, really should do, right? Give an opportunity to build an authentic brand.
Okay. I think for that, my answer to you is because people follow people and people don't follow brands. That's why people should that's why corporates and brands should actually focus on that. And you have once again answered my next question. You can put it in a short form if you want to, AJ. But last but not least, if there was one single advice you could give to the viewers out there, to businesses and entrepreneurs with respect to marketing in these uncertain times, what would it be?
Market from home. Stay home. No.
Is it?
No, man. No. Jokes aside, really. Again, not to repeat things that I've already said, but just do a good job at being productive. I think one thing that I do want to share with marketers right now is that, I think it's all well and good. Sheldon has a really good point. It's all well and good to have the metrics and your dashboards and all that that all that is there, you know, it's available for you and you can do that. I'm not a very technical type of guy. I'm more of a feeling and emotive marketer as opposed to a more technical, scientific marketer. That's why I've got a partner like Ryan, who's very scientific. She's very analytical. He's very number oriented. And, you know, like Sheldon, who they really know their stuff. They really know how to drive that funnel in that way. But I'm more of the guy who kind of comes up with how you can create that spark and how you can create that magic, you know, in the first place. So I think a lot of people try to spend the time tinkering the science and the whole funnel, but they kind of miss the whole point. It's you know, you got to have a really, really awesome story before you do any of that, because then your metrics and all that stuff would be lame. You know what I mean? So build a really awesome story first. So if you want to do that, then make sure that you get your priorities right. Don't put the horse before the cart. That's what I think.
Okay, so make sure you have an awesome story. Sheldon, Cooper.
I get that all the time, I swear. One advice. I'll summarize everything I've said today in this one advice. If you've got a good product or service, again, you know, if you've got a good product or service that resolves your target's current pain points, you know, if you do, you'd know. You've got a good, prepare a marketing strategy if you haven't, and the material. Get online, you know, and if you haven't, get a team. And don't be afraid to ask for the sale if you fall within this basket. Now, if you don't worry. It's not the end of the world. Really, I swear, you can still stay in touch with your customers with educative, entertaining, or useful content. And if you're up for the challenge, you know, get creative with your marketing promotions.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, boom. Okay, so this is what's so interesting about today's session, because we've got the scientific guy who's actually a lawyer. I cannot believe this, but he's so scientific right now. And then
Not a lawyer anymore. Not a lawyer anymore.
He has fully shifted. And then we have AJ, who gave like the whole big shebang concept kind of thing. So we've got a fantastic mix of marketeers here. Yeah, so good job, Popcorn.
Thanks for having us.
I'm just gonna play a horn right now. And that's it.
Did I mention that Nina is very modest?
Yeah, I realized that.
She's super modest.
Yeah, I have become super modest because at Popcorn we now have this hashtag is it pays to perasan, or in English, it pays to be conceited. So I'm trying to embrace that side of me.
Wait, perasan is conceited?
Perasan, yeah, perasan.
Perasan is conceited? Dude, I always thought perasan was like showing off and being arrogant.
Yeah. What was that? Was that your kid at the back there? So cute.
That's my little itty bitty.
Oh, she was like a little, you know, like a little minion at the back there running. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today, but if I were to summarize today's episode, what I'm getting is your business must sell to survive. So get online, use social media more, pause and adapt your message, adjust the tone, so that it's one which is, maybe you can fix my England here, with empathy, kind and helpful. Humanize your brand voice. Use content to serve and help your customers. Reinforce stability because of the period of uncertainty. You could be that pillar and beacon of stability. Understand your relationship with customers. Help give back to community, and test, and look into personal branding of your employees. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Okay.
Couldn't have summed it up better than that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to both our speakers, Sheldon Ong, aka Sheldon Cooper, and Dr. AJ Minai.
AJ Batman.
Oh, Batman. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for a super insightful session, guys, and we hope to catch you guys. Now, remember, if you still want that free digital marketing consultation, please comment with "I want" in the comment section. Now, before we close, if you have been inspired and you want to, you know, up your marketing game, we've got that surprise for you, by the way, kind of thing. But please make sure you give us a thumbs up and let us know what kind of topics you want us to cover in our next Just Langga episode. Okay, so with that, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, same time.
Yeah, but before that, right, moving forward, please give us a like and follow us on all our social media platforms, right? We are going to have this session every week, alright? So stay tuned for next week as well. Share the love. We will also be posting this video on YouTube and LinkedIn later. right? And if you would like to have more updates or see more video like this, be sure to follow us on this Facebook group, right? LinkedIn page and POPCONfest group. Okay?
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
sounds good. Thank you so much. We're signing
Thank you,
off.
guys. Thank you, Popcorn.
Thank
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Sheldon,
having
it's great.
us.
It's great
Bye.
having you too.
Right.
Bye.
We'll see
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
you too. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Right.
Oh, actually, I forgot to. Hey, why Sheldon left?
Wait. Okay, mute. Wait. Yeah, but I'm muting you now. Okay. Okay. Let me just put the live cover photo. Yep, that was good. That was really good.